Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. This is a special Red Pill News Sunday night live stream. We are going to be speaking with WallStreet Anon, my guest, who we were unable to have come on Friday due to my issues with the internet. I want to thank everyone for coming to the special presentation. I see lots of familiar faces in the audience tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look at who's here. We can say hello to some people. I see upstate South Carolina. I see California. I see Michigan. Jeff Stewart says, hello, Patriots. Thank you for that super chat, Jeff. Eugene, Oregon. From Las Vegas. Let's see, the state of Illinois. Escanaba, Michigan. Way up north. Hey, my mom's here. Hi, Mom. Real Red Pill 78, Mom. Colorado. I see my friend Dana calling from Michigan. New Jersey, Chicago, Brazil, Houston, the Republic of California, Los Angeles. Howdy from Texas, Illinois, back again. Real quick, guys, we need to listen to a brief word from my sponsor, and we'll be right back. If you can, remember the horror of the 2008 recession and how it caught millions of Americans off guard. With that in mind, I'm sure you'll want to know that the next recession is just creeping around the corner. The market drops we saw in September and December last year were just the warning signs. One man, who I trust has the guts to speak the truth on America's secrets that are hiding in plain sight. You've probably heard of him. Best-selling author Doug Casey. He's been called America's top legendary speculator, and every major political and economic forecast Doug has ever made over the last 3 decades came true. His research shows a major stock crash is around the corner, and it could be triggered by a powerful group of individuals whose efforts are intended to simply sabotage Donald Trump's presidency. And the worst part? Hardworking Americans who saved diligently for retirement are the ones who will feel it the most. We've documented how Doug expects this market crash and recession to play out, how it's aimed at the Trump presidency, and who's behind it. And yes, what simple steps you should take now if you want to survive financially and live peacefully under the radar when it all goes down. To watch this free presentation, go to www.badnews2020.com and watch for free. Once again, that's www.badnews2020.com and listen to what Doug has to say. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for listening to that. That was a message from my sponsor, Doug Casey. And Doug is a speculator. He's had a lot of predictions that have come true over the years. Now, whether you just have faith in God and you believe that God will protect us and protect Donald Trump, there's nothing wrong with having some information about what potentially may come. But either way, Doug has made many predictions over the years that have come true, and I hope that he's wrong about the idea that there's going to be another recession. But logic tells me that recessions come, recessions go, and we are here to stay. And I'm very grateful to my sponsors for allowing me to produce this show without having to worry about censorship. Still seeing lots of people coming through the, wow, is that North Korea? Or is that from Norway, perhaps? Buy a beer. Man, Bear, Pig, thank you very much for that super chat. I also see Dylan McConnell. Dylan says, I got it working. I removed a 20-year horrible chronic sciatica in one night. I'm working on quantum entanglement, and I think that that's operational too. Can we talk soon? It is too much for me alone. All right, Dylan. Yes, Dylan, you are definitely on my list of people to talk to. I've just been very, very busy, buddy. I'm scheduling several weeks out. But I just want to say once again, thank you to everyone who is a supporter, everyone who's a patron, everyone who's a subscriber. All of you, no matter what it is that you're doing, you're here and you are helping me spread the message, and I thank you for that. We've got patriots from all across the globe here tonight, and we are going to be talking with WallStreet Anon. WallStreet Anon is someone who has actual on-the-ground experience and certifications, the ability to work in the Wall Street environment, no matter how unseemly that might be. He did that successfully for some time, honestly, and he discovered that when you when you don't play dishonestly, you're really not going to get ahead in Wall Street. So thank you very much to WallStreet Anon for joining us. But we're going to give WallStreet Anon a call in just a minute. I wanted to go through a couple of stories. This is something very important that came across my radar today. Mark Meadows was speaking with Maria Bartiromo today, and he said that he expects those criminal referrals to be in the DOJ watchdog report. Now, this is over and above the criminal referrals that were sent by Devin Nunes just this week to the DOJ. North Carolina Republican Representative Mark Meadows said Sunday that he expects the Justice Department's Inspector General to issue criminal referrals as part of an investigation into the FBI's possible abuse of the surveillance courts during the Trump-Russia probe. Now, Andrew McCabe famously stated that the criminal referrals from the Inspector General were weak, that they were something that he did not think was going to be something that was going to be bothering him. He didn't care that he lied to Congress. He didn't care that he did the illegal things that he did. And I sure would love to see the Inspector General send some referrals through that actually affect Andrew McCabe. Mark Meadows said, "We're fully anticipating that the IG's report will come out, as Attorney General Barr said, in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And I think it's highly likely that we'll see criminal referrals coming from them that will correspond with what Chairman Devin Nunes has already put forth," Meadows said in an interview on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures. Perhaps even double criminal referrals, some from Nunes and then some from the IG, but for the same people. That would be lovely. I would love to see that. Attorney General William Barr told Congress on Tuesday that he expects Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General, to issue a report in late May or June. On March 28, 2018, Horowitz opened an investigation into whether the FBI and Justice Department compiled with illegal requirements to obtain a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrant against Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Meadows, a close ally of President Trump's, said that he and Ohio Republican Jim Jordan met earlier this week with Horowitz. Both have expressed confidence in Horowitz's work and have heightened expectations that the investigation will be favorable to Republicans. Meadows said that he believes that Horowitz's report will also focus on FBI leaks to the media. The Republican claimed to have seen evidence that the Bureau would leak information to the press and then use those stories to justify additional investigations. So what we would find is people within the Department of Justice, primarily the FBI, would actually give information to the media. Then those reports would actually come out and they would say, wow, we have these reports now. And then they would take the actual reports and then they would use them as probable cause to do a further investigation, Meadows told Fox News host Maria Bartiromo. Where did we see this, guys? Where did we see this? We saw this. This took place in the Christopher Steele, the Steele dossier. What he would do would go ahead and spread information to the news, and then he would put it out as justification for his reports. Jojo, if you could, I'm going to send another link through. This is what I need you to go ahead and put out tonight. Oops, I didn't put the whole thing out. 1 second. Add an H to that if you could. There we go. Copy and paste. This is the link that we need to share tonight, Jojo. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So it was a big circular thing. You'll see all of that come out, I believe, when Inspector General's report comes out. Horowitz is also examining the FBI and Justice Department's communications with Christopher Steele, the author of the dossier that the FBI relied on to obtain the Page FISAs. Republicans have alleged that the FBI failed to verify the dossier before using it to obtain the FISAs. They also claim that the FBI failed to disclose that Steele was working for the DNC and Clinton campaign in the FISA applications. Thank you, Jojo. I appreciate your help. Horowitz is also investigating the FBI's use of confidential informants in the Trump-Russia probe. We know that included Stefan Halper. The New York Times reported earlier this week that Horowitz is scrutinizing one Stefan Halper, a former Cambridge University professor who made contact with several Trump campaign advisors while working as an FBI informant. Now, would you guys believe you know what, you guys, my mom is in the audience tonight, so definitely feel free to say hi to her. Hi, Mom. Thanks for coming. I do believe that if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here, so I appreciate you dropping by. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Terry. There's Terry. Glad you're here, Terry. Let's see. Greg Gilman, no Wi-Fi here. Hope back in 5 miles. No problem, Greg. We'll see you when you get back, buddy. So this is finally happening, you guys. You know, a lot of people have been so worried for so long that we weren't going to see anything taking place, that there was not going to be any criminal referrals or indictments or charges or trials coming up. But as we can see, what's happening here with the Trump administration and how they're handling this, this is how the law is supposed to work. This is really how it's supposed to happen. And finally it is, because, Trump is doing things the right way, and he's got people on his side who are able to go ahead and do this. Can you guys tell me if you're having any trouble seeing the video? I hope it's not buffering or anything. I know that we're not. I know that we are not, showing much moving video tonight, just because the internet is still kind of hazy. But I do get a message from YouTube that says that the video output is low. Wendy Davis, thank you very much for that super chat. All right, so if you would, folks, allow me to put this article into the show notes real quick, and we'll move on to the next story before we call in our guest. Let's see, there we go. And also, I've had several people ask recently how they can get a hold of me. I would prefer that you send me an email. The email is in the show notes. Please keep in mind, folks, that I do receive many, many emails, so I'm not able to respond to them all. But I do give first preference to people that have potential status as show guests, because those are the conversations that take up the most time, if I can be perfectly honest. But I've got a lot of people that are coming up, you guys. These next couple of weeks are going to be very, very interesting. Muffin is right here with me. Muffin wants to say hi to everyone. Hi, Muffin. And Chi-Chi is also here. He's around here someplace. Now, we have talked very recently about how the media has freaked out at the revelation from Bill Barr that there was spying that took place in the Trump campaign. And the media refuses to admit that the Trump campaign was spied on. You know why? Because they were complicit in the hoax. They were complicit. We know that. This is a guest post from Michael LaChance from American Outlook. Molly Hemingway of The Federalist, a wonderful publication, has been one of the best journalists covering the Russia conspiracy since the beginning. During an appearance on the Laura Ingraham show this week, Hemingway explained why the media can't admit that the Trump campaign was spied on. Now, Laura Ingraham said the media reaction to Barr was what you would expect. Three outlets, particularly burned by the shifting Mueller narrative, were quick to paint the AG's comments as purely political. CNN's Manu Raju tweeting, Barr's comments were bound to please Trump. Now, I think Barr's comments were bound to follow the rule of law, not about pleasing Trump. Barr is about upholding the law. The Washington Post's Aaron Blake, he had a bunch of ridiculous things to say. He said the use of spying is obviously a loaded term and one of Trump favors. And MSNBC analyst Cynthia Oxney offered this. I think that is crazy. Well, if you will look up the definition of what a spy is, that's someone that's inserted to gather information. Stefan Halper was not affiliated with the Trump campaign in any way, and he was inserted into the Trump campaign and asked to speak to certain individuals so that he could interject himself and gather information. That is a spy if I've ever heard of one. Molly Hemingway said, it's interesting if you watch Attorney General Barr, he's so calm, so sober, so even-handed. He is not saying anything extreme, just stating the facts as they are, as they're known, and contrary to what we just heard, there is no dispute about whether there was spying or not. This is a common way to describe what happened. They used multiple human informants. There were wiretaps and other electronic surveillance. There were national security letters. If it were about anything other than the Trump campaign, we would all acknowledge that is spying. That is a good word to use to sum up what was going on here. The media can't use that word because they were complicit in this operation in two ways. One, they perpetrated the Russia collusion hoax. They accepted these leaks. They were not critical about them at all. They claimed they all had bombshells. One by one, they gave it to the hoax. On the other hand, they never covered what was troubling about these actions by the federal agents, not just the FBI, but other agencies, to go against domestic political opponents. This was an incredible miscarriage of justice, the way that things took place. President Trump and his campaign, the people in his team, they were spied upon. And the United States government is the one who did the spying against him. They used things in their disposal that they are never supposed to use against an opposing political party. Taking a drink of my coffee, guys. Thanks. And it was done by a political campaign that was attempting to go after President Trump. They could not handle the fact that he won. They could not handle the idea that he would remain in power. So I believe Attorney General Bill Barr is exactly the person that we need to take care of all of these things that took place. Now, again, it's going to take time, you guys. It's going to take time. It took time to get the team together. We had to have a couple of years of, a seeming turmoil in the Trump team, in the presidency. All of the fake news pundits, they had to go after all of these different things. But now that President Trump has been in office, he has shown that he could still be successful, even though there was seemingly some amount of turmoil and lots of fake news coming his way. Now he's finally got a team in place of people that he's going to be able to use to uphold the rule of law and to bring us back to a point at which we can have the America that we know and love. All right, guys, our stream health is going good now, so I'm going to be bringing in our guest. Let me get my Skype pulled up. While my Skype is getting pulled up, I'm going to go into the next story. Now, today, Hillary Clinton had some things to say about President Trump and about people that are running against President Trump. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is advising Democratic candidates running in 2020 to avoid any of the distractions that President Donald Trump might create in the lead up to next year's election. Oh, let me pull this over here so it's not in our way. Thanks, guys. You do have to present what you want to do. What is your vision? Clinton said during an interview Friday at the Women in the World Summit in New York. Clinton, who became the first female candidate to win her party's nomination, albeit somewhat dishonestly, did not indicate who among the roughly 20 people running for president she might support. At the same time, you must be able to counter and ignore wherever possible, respond where necessary to the diversion and distraction that we see. Unfortunately, working by the current incumbent in the White House, said Clinton, who ran in 2016 with a campaign slogan promoting her gender. Clinton opted in March not to join a field of growing Democrats who have decided to run for the nomination. She has already met with presidential candidate Democratic Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar and former Vice President Joe Biden, even though he has yet to officially announce his candidacy. Now, Biden appears to be the strongest horse in the race during the early going. He earned 32% of the support, according to a poll released April 9th from Morning Consult. This, despite recent reports highlighting the former vice president's behavior toward women during the last decade of his life in the public eye. Oh, the dogs are getting frisky, guys. All right. One moment here. I just need to make a change to the information on my screen so that I don't dox my my guest here. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Save. All right, that would be a bummer, guys. I would not want to dox my guest. My guest, I will say this before I bring him in. He is a dog lover. He is a patriot. And he's an all-around good guy. And he's got a compelling and tragic story for us. Tragic because the corruption of white-collar crime affected him and his family directly. So let's go ahead and bring in my guest, Wall Street Anon. I'm going to give him a call now. There we go. I can hear it. Wall Street Anon. Are you there, sir?
Oh, wait. I got to put you on speaker.
Do you...
I'm taking your call on my phone.
Okay. Do you happen to have a headset? Because we might have a problem with the speaker. I'll let you know if I can hear myself. But, oh, okay. Looks like he He's going to have to give us a call right back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Let me delete my my cookies so that I can continue reading articles until our caller gets back with us. Let's see here. Or actually, I can do this. Tiffany Vinci, thank you very much for that super chat, my friend. I do appreciate that. Actually, we'll just go to archive.org, and we'll pull up the story that way. This is a... President Trump said today that everything's fake. The news is fake. Speaking directly to the New York Times, it would appear. Let's pull up that story and that snapshot of that story. Yes, Hillary is still here, unfortunately. Not the cookies. All right. It's all fake and corrupt news. Trump drops a harsh prediction on New York Times. President Donald Trump took a swipe at the New York Times Saturday, tweeting a dire prediction, suggesting that the outlet was not long for this world. The New York Times Sanctuary Cities immigration story today was knowingly wrong on almost every fact, he tweeted. They never call to check for truth. Their sources often don't even exist. A fraud. They will lie and cheat any way possible to make me look bad. In 6 years, they will be gone. Fluffy Dog, thank you very much for that super chat, and Godspeed to you as well, my friend. Godspeed. Red Alexandria Occasional Cortex says Red Pill 78 for 2024. Who's coming up in 2020? Oh, that's Donald Trump coming up in 2020. So yes, I would be next on the ticket. I would go for a split ticket with myself and Donald Trump Jr. I think that I would have a lot to learn from the Trumps. That would be great. Now. This was in a tweet that President Trump made this prediction. Trump went on to attack the New York Times over what he said was pathetic coverage of the 2016 election. They even apologized to me, he added, but now they're even worse, really corrupt reporting. When I won the election in 2016, the New York Times had to beg their fleeing subscribers for forgiveness in that they covered the election and me so badly. They did not have a clue. It was pathetic. Trump's tweets came following reports that he had directed acting Homeland Security Secretary Kevin McEleenan to close the border and, perhaps as a joke, offered to pardon him if things went sideways. You've got to be kidding me. As Jake Tapper reported earlier, Trump told McEleenan to ignore Nielsen and said he'd pardon him if anything happened. The remarks, possibly a joke, still alarmed DHS officials, Annie Carney, Eric Schmidt of NYT, and Cano Youngs. This is from Maggie Haberman. We know Maggie Haberman. The president concluded by refuting those reports, saying, I never offered pardons to Homeland Security officials, never ordered anyone close or out to our southern border, although I have the absolute right to do so, and may if Mexico does not apprehend the illegals coming to our border. And I'm not frustrated. Here we go. Wall Street Anon, are you there? Sir, can you hear me? Wall Street Anon, I'm not getting any vocals on your end. Cycle Chris, thank you very much for that super chat. Says you're going to be a busy guy in the next few weeks. I think I'm already fairly busy right now. We're going to see a lot of information coming forward. Wall Street Anon, can you hear me, sir? I'm not hearing anything on your end.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, my God.
Okay. All right.
I tried to put the headphones on.
Okay. And
I'm new with this, by the way.
Okay, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. All right, sir. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I do appreciate that. Let me pull your...
I got to put you on speaker first. I'm not even sure how to do this shit.
Okay,
so.
okay.
Whoops. Hello?
Yes, I'm here. I'm still here. Now, are you listening to my live stream in the background?
Yes.
Please turn that down, will you, or mute that, because I can hear that.
Okay. I'm still trying to get this thing. I got this baby plugged into the bottom of my, for earphones.
Okay.
And every time I do that, you can't hear me.
Well, I can hear you right now, and I don't hear my own. I don't hear my own voice coming back through. So I think we're good with the way that it was right then. If you don't have it on speakerphone and you just use it like a regular phone call, then you shouldn't hear me through the speaker, and we'll hear you just fine. I cannot hear you now. I think there must be something wrong with your headphones.
Okay, so
I can hear you now.
iPhone. The problem is I can't get it on my speaker.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
well,
I'll just use it like a phone. I'll just listen in.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Have a comment to make here and there.
Okay, excellent.
You can hear me. You can hear me fine.
I can hear you just fine. I can just hear you just fine. All right, so WallStreet Anon, thank you very much for joining me. Now, I call you WallStreet Anon because you are someone who you were formerly a trader. Is that right?
Actually, I was a retail broker, a trader. For 10 years, I owned a transfer agent. Did deals, not big ones, small ones. The biggest one I was ever involved with was a raise of $40 million.
I think that's a pretty big deal, personally. I think that's a big deal.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, 40 million is a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it was basically an institutional placement, and I basically I brought it to. It was pretty much one guy.
Okay.
Who, believe it or not, used to do negative research for basic industries, and one of his clients was George Soros.
Oh, wow. Okay, now when you say negative research, you mean like Oppo research, the kind of stuff that went into making the Russia dossier?
No. I mean, I'm talking about when I say negative research. Back in those days, we're talking 78, 79, 80, 81. Back in those days, when you wanted to short a company's stock,
okay,
you had to have research to back up why you were shorting that stock.
All right. Now, before we go on, I know that shorting stocks it's integrally involved with what we're going to be talking about tonight. So,
yes.
Can you explain for our audience what that means when you say to short a stock? And I want the audience to know that I mean trader, like TRADER, or a broker, somebody who's working with stocks. And I also do need to say thank you to Mr. Smith. He says, Red Pill 78 doing a great job. Loved you on the Quite Frankly show. Thank you, sir, and thank you for that super chat. All right, so WallStreet Anon, explain what shorting a stock means to us.
Okay. Shorting a stock is perfectly okay because it actually does create more liquidity.
And creating liquidity
in a particular stock.
And creating liquidity means like raising money, capital. Is that what you mean?
No. Volume in the stock trading.
Okay.
But according to the rules that were in place, there are several factors. In order to be able to short a stock, it must be qualified as marginable. It has to meet certain criteria, which I'm not going to get into all those details, but it has to be marginable.
Okay.
So when you open up a brokerage account, you can have a cash account, and then you can have a margin account. Okay. And if you're going to be shorting a stock, it's almost always through margin. Additionally, you're only able to short a stock of a company up to those shares that are free trading in the marketplace.
Okay. So let's say that a company has 1 million shares total
in the flow. It's called the flow.
The flow. The flowers. Those are the unowned stocks. Those are the ones.
Those are the ones that are freely trading that people can buy and sell day in, day out.
Okay. And so
then you have the inside shares.
Okay, so the inside shares.
Then you have the shares. That would be private placements, the original shareholders, the founders.
Okay.
All that stuff is subject to Rule 144.
Okay. All right. So.
Okay, and there's a whole formula to that.
All right. So tell us, basically, what your position, in the Wall Street world, and what did it mean for you on a day-to-day basis going to work?
Oh, I used to love it. I mean, when I first started out, it was real tough because your clientele was a Yellow Pages or a White Pages. That's how you started. They'd throw a book in front of you, say, "There's your client right there."
Right.
So start making phone calls.
So, like, if anybody's ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street, that was actually, I mean, they showed that on camera. You would be sitting in an office with maybe 50 other guys or 50 other people, and everybody's going through the phone book and everybody's making calls, and you're trying to drum up business.
Yeah, and it's perfectly fine, except if your name is Jordan Belfort.
Yeah, right.
And that's who the Wolf of Wall Street is. There's a big difference between, and by the way, when there's so much money involved, okay, and you can make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month, okay, that greed factor comes out.
Right. Now, somebody was just saying that they didn't quite understand what shorting a stock meant. So I don't know if we actually got to that.
All right. Let me go back.
Yeah.
Okay. So most people in their minds conceptualize that you buy a stock at $10, okay, and you want it to go up, so it goes to 20, and then you sell at 20 and you make 10.
Okay.
Okay. A short is the opposite. The stock's at 20. You think that the stock is coming down, so you sell the stock short. You don't own it, but you short it. You sell it without owning it.
Now,
and the hope is,
okay,
the hope is that you're going to be able to buy it at 10, and you can make that same 10 points.
So
in stock.
How do you sell a stock if you don't own it?
Well, there you go. What can I tell you? I'm just telling you what the game is. Now, like I said before, shorting a stock, there's nothing wrong with shorting stocks. I have shorted many stocks. I used to make markets in numerous companies, and there were times when I would be short the stock as a market maker.
And I mean, but it sounds like the only reason you'd want to short a stock is if you're going to, you're going to profit off that. You're going to make money off of that.
Yes, you're going to short it because you think it's going down.
So what happens if it doesn't go down?
You have to cover your short by buying it above where you shorted it.
Okay.
So if you shorted at 20, it's no different than a stock.
Yeah.
You buy a stock at 10 and you think you got the dip. Let's just say it's based on charting, which is what I do. Mm-hmm. And you didn't get it right. So the stock doesn't go up at 10. It goes down another 50 cents or whatever. And then you have to cover your buy by selling it at a loss.
All right. So
the same thing happens on the other side.
But when you say that you okay, so you don't own it, you say that it's going to go down, and if it does, then you get to buy it. But then if it doesn't go down, then you still have to buy it, and then you end up selling.
Exactly.
Then you end up selling it regardless.
You wind up covering your short, is what they call it.
Okay.
So let's say you shorted at 20 and it goes to 22. If you bought 1,000 shares, you just lost $2,000.
Okay. Man, so I imagine that people stand to lose a lot of money doing this, but they also stand to make a lot of money. And
if the game is rigged.
Yes. Yeah.
And by the way, the game is still rigged to this day.
Of course it is. So tell us about that. How is the game rigged? I would imagine that the people doing this, they've got a lot of money on the line. Right. This is not your average everyday person that's going out there and shorting stocks. So these are people who
no.
They're going to make a lot of money doing this.
People short stocks. Little guys like me. I'm little. Okay. I'm a little peanut out there. There are certain stocks that you, as a little people, can't short. Okay. But there are actually people out there that can short. Okay.
All right.
Because they that's part of the rigged game. Whoever they're paying off. Okay.
And who would they be paying
And that
off?
would be hedge funds.
Okay. So
Okay.
who's getting the payoff?
Who's getting the payoff?
Yeah, like who's being paid off? Like, I mean, is this people in the government, or is this people in corporations who are giving inside information?
Well, I'll get to the payoff is massive, and that's why this stuff still continues, and everybody closes their eyes, blind eye to what's going on, and they just keep on doing it and doing it. It's not as prevalent by any means as it was in starting actually with the .com bust.
Okay.
Okay. Ask your audience how many people in the audience know of family members, grandpa, grandma, whatever, okay, that lost a lot of money between the .com bust and the crash of 2008.
Yeah, I mean, I was directly affected by the crash of 2008, not so much the .com bust, because I really didn't have any money to speak of. But when everything happened, my mom just actually mentioned that one of her favorite movies is called The Big Short, and that's about the 2008 market crash.
I read it.
Okay.
But believe me when I tell you, that's maybe a quarter of the truth.
Really?
Of actually what they do. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The only time you ever heard them on MSM, our wonderful media, which they lie about everything, the only time you ever heard them talk about naked short selling, okay, that's what they termed it. It's kind of a ridiculous terminology, was when they were destroying Bear Stearns.
Okay.
And Bear Stearns was one of the most predatory firms on the planet. They pretty much invented mortgage-backed securities.
So, do you think that they chose to sacrifice Bear Stearns because of the fact that they invented it? So it was they made an easy sacrifice?
Oh no, they didn't invent naked short selling.
Oh, okay.
They were just involved with a lot of predatory activity, along with many other firms. They destroyed Bear Stearns because pretty much there was nothing left to destroy.
Because they had lost everything already?
No, because they destroyed, between the .com bust and 2008, there were probably 10, 15,000 public companies that went out of business directly related to naked short selling, which is effectively electronic counterfeiting. They do it electronically.
Okay.
And I'll reference something, most people don't know what caused the crash of 29.
What was
How
it?
many people know what caused the crash of 29?
I mean, I know it had something to do with mortgages.
No, it was counterfeiting.
Counterfeiting. Okay, explain.
Back in 1929, there was no such thing as the term counterfeiting. Okay? And who came up, the genius that came up with the idea, and he wanted so much to be a bankster, was Joseph Kennedy.
Okay.
Joseph Kennedy came up with the idea whereby let's break out the printing presses, and we're all going to sell all our shares, our real shares, and then we're going to print up fake shares on the NYSE and the Amex, which I believe at that time there was one other exchange, I can't remember what the name of it was, and they printed certificates and then sold those shares into the marketplace, which is what destroyed the market in 29.
Wow.
How many people have you ever heard of that?
Never. I've never heard of that. Never heard that at all.
You can look it up. You'll be hard pressed to find it. The real story with Joseph Kennedy. Okay, and here's where it really gets crazy. Okay, so they destroyed the entire financial system in 29.
Okay,
and collapsed everything down, and then the banks stopped. They did the same thing in 2008. They stopped borrowing, loaning to small companies. Small companies went out of business. Big companies went out of business, and it's all they compressed everything and then they absorb it all.
Okay.
Who do you think was buying all that stuff?
Well, just regular people, I would imagine.
Oh, no. All the banksters.
Okay.
And the hedge funds. I mean, take a look right now. It's all you hear on the news is this hedge fund and that hedge fund. They own everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And what they own is our money.
So now there's a couple of different types of funds. We had talked about this previously. They're the hedge funds, and then what's the other one called?
Okay, mutual funds.
Mutual funds.
Little man's money, which goes into the fund, and they're always the last ones to sell. Okay. Because they don't know what the hell's going on.
Okay.
But hedge fund, and by the way, they're heavily regulated. Okay. They have to disclose who their shareholders are, who's in the mutual fund, what's in the fund.
Right. And
it's investment. But a hedge fund, they don't have to disclose anything. Think about that.
And so the hedge funds are the ones that extremely wealthy people can own. Now, what does subprime mortgages have to do with any of this? Because that's really largely what we've been told was the cause of the crash of 2008.
Absolutely, that's just what that was. That came next.
Okay.
You had mortgage-backed securities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and everybody took off with the whole thing. Okay. So the banks, what they were doing is they were creating, people would come to them and they would, hey, I want to buy a house, blah, blah, blah. George Bush remember when Bush was saying 75% of America should own a house. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Yep, I definitely do.
Okay, because he's a criminal, as is the entire Bush family, and always have been.
Yes.
If you go look up the history of the Bush family, it's amazing.
Take you right back to Prescott and even further back.
Hitler.
Yep.
Brown Brothers Harriman, which was a New York City based investment banking firm,
and
was funding.
Yep, they were
Hitler.
They were funding Germany. That's correct. They were funding Germany.
That's exactly And the Rockefellers were providing the steel and the tubing to make their tanks. So it's all about the money. Okay. But they hide it well. So back on track. Back on
track to the counterfeiting. So why have we not heard about the counterfeiting aspect of the crash of 2008? Is that because it was done by extremely wealthy people?
They cover it up. This is the biggest scam ever.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing compares to it. Not even treason with Trump.
Yeah.
There is no comparison, because this is what destroyed you and I, Americans, and they don't even know it. And if they knew it, there would have been a revolution long ago.
Well,
that's how well they hide it.
Because it's just another way for them to take all of our wealth and
they wiped us out.
Yeah, they did.
You go back and look. How many companies went out of business? Little companies. And I used to try and tell people about this, and they would say to me, hey, well, I don't own stock in Wall Street, so it's not going to affect me. Well, guess what? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's because it'll trickle down to you. Now, it
did trickle down.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It was a waterfall.
Now, I see lots of people mentioning in the chat that they no longer print stock certificates.
That's exactly right.
And is that because of what happened in 2008?
So let me go back. I want to finish on something, and I think it's very important to understand, and it's the whole history repeats itself.
Okay.
So Joseph Kennedy came out with this great grandiose idea, and they all jumped on board, and then they loved him. They caused the crash of 29. It was all counterfeited. And then JFK, now they destroyed everything, right? So the banksters and, the wealthy ones are all picking up all the pieces. Meanwhile, people are on breadlines, the little people. Okay? And so they decide, well, we got to get the little idiots back into the marketplace. Okay? So we're going to cook up the 1933-34 Securities and Exchange Act.
Which stated what?
Okay? And you know who? SEC rules.
Oh, okay.
1933-34.
Gotcha.
Okay? Do you know who wrote the rules?
No, who was that?
Joseph Kennedy.
Okay. All right.
The very person that was cooked up counterfeiting, among other things.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
He was also appointed by JFK as the first SEC chairman. You can't make it up.
Okay.
Okay, so 100 years or thereabouts, 100 years later, the same exact thing happens. But this time, it's electronic counterfeiting. And the hub in this whole thing, and in the Matrix brought this up.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to get those guys to listen. For whatever reason, they would never call me back, whatever. They brought up Depository Trust Clearing Corporation, DTCC.
Okay, and who is that?
By the way, Depository Trust Clearing Corporation, if you go on an excellent explanation of what they were doing and what they did was deepcapture.com and / the movie.
Okay.
And Patrick Byrne, who is the founder of Overstock, or O, they call it now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Daddy used to own Geico.
Okay.
And he sold it to Warren Buffett. So Patrick financially has nothing to worry about. And he's a really good guy, and he's very honest. Okay? He was probably one of the only companies that survived an attack by hedge funds. Very few ever survived. And it was because of, obviously, his wealth and his tenaciousness. I mean, he created Deep Capture, the website, for the purpose of exposing naked short selling, electronic counterfeiting, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
And they were doing it to his company.
Now, that was my next question. When you say survived the attack from a hedge fund, you mean they were trying to use naked short selling to take his company and put it out of business?
Oh, yep. Pretty much, yep.
All right.
So one of the things back then, so how do you naked short?
Yeah.
Okay, well, according to the rules, you can only short up to, let's just say, a company that's got 1 million shares in the float, and it's marginable, which means it meets certain criteria.
Okay.
A certain number of shareholders, a certain net worth, a certain amount of revenues, assets. There's a formula to being qualified as a marginable security.
Okay.
Okay? And if it's not marginable, you can't borrow it. You can't short it. The only person that can short a stock that is not qualified to be borrowed is a market maker, which I used to be.
Okay.
Back in, everything's changed now. I'm not even sure there are market makers anymore. That's how much it changed. I mean, it used to be over-the-counter stocks. You could have 25 market makers at 25 different firms, all, either shorting or taking a piece of the stock when it came in, and then they would just try and flip it for a couple of pennies.
Okay, yeah, and I guess if you're doing that on a large enough scale, then a couple of pennies per share, it can still be very profitable.
Oh, extremely, extremely profitable.
Wow. It's amazing to me how many different ways they've figured out how to make money using the market. Like,
oh yeah, well, now you can add in puts and calls.
And what are puts and calls?
It's like it's like a contract, and whereby you have the right. Let's just say you buy a call, and the stock's at 20, okay, and you think it's going to 25, so and it will have a term. Okay, so let's just say you buy the 25 calls, and it could go out 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is. At the end of let's just say you buy the 2-month call. Okay. And the stock never goes anywhere. It stays at 20. All right. As it gets closer to that date, out 2 months, it will shrink in value because it's just supply and demand. Nobody wants to buy that call as it gets closer to the expiration date. And if it expires, whatever you put into it, you lose.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So on the other side, if it goes to 25, right, let's just say the call was, 50 cents. Okay. And the stock goes up 5 points. That call that you bought at 50 cents will appreciate to say like $1.20. And then you would just sell the call.
Okay, so that's another way for you to make money off of a stock without actually owning it?
No, you can own it.
You can't own it.
You could be short it. You don't have to own it. You can just straight buy puts and calls.
Okay.
So a put is the opposite of that.
Okay.
Stock's at 20, you think it's going lower, you think it's going to happen in 3 months, so you buy a put that's 3 months out. Okay, and you hope it's going down. And then you effectively sell the call. I'm sorry, the put.
So, I mean,
okay, it's different than a short.
It seems a lot like sports betting. Like if you're talking about like a football game and you think that they're going to, your team is going to either win by 10 points or lose by 10 points and you bet on that. And it's not just betting on the fact that they're going to win or they're going to lose. They have to, be within that particular margin. And either you make money or you lose money. This
is a little bit more predictable. Like I don't these days. I don't believe in fundamentals anymore.
Okay.
Because of all the manipulation, but I shouldn't exactly say that because there are certain stocks like I'm in what we call them the dopers. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
The marijuana stocks.
Yeah. Now I wanted to say real quick that David Munyon said gangster or bankster, any difference? It doesn't seem like there's any difference. I mean, this just seems like regulated organized crime.
Oh my God! It's you have no idea how complicated it is.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, now just think about this: hedge funds are not required to report any of their investors, those that are vested with the hedge fund.
So you could use that as a large scale scheme for laundering money for organized crime, couldn't you? If you don't have to have your name in there. Yeah. So you're.
Oh, how about members of Congress?
Exactly.
Why do you think they never did anything about this? You have no idea how big this was. I mean, I have letters, certified return receipt, certified, the whole bit, going to the DOJ, as have thousands of other companies. And that's how long ago, that's how far back the corruption goes in the DOJ.
Now you're saying you trying to alert the DOJ as to what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
And of course,
alert them.
and they didn't care because they were making money off of it.
Most likely.
Right. And isn't there some provision that allows for congressmen to actually essentially do insider trading? Like they get like a tip on something that's going to happen, through the course of their job.
It's not illegal for a member of Congress. Exactly. Yeah. It is not illegal for a member of Congress to trade on inside information.
That's incredible.
How effed up is that?
That is incredible.
Okay. So let me go back here.
Okay.
So we got the crash of 29, and anybody on this call, if you guys are Anons or whatever, and you like to research things, look it up. Mm-hmm. It's out there. You just have to know where to look.
Yep.
But so going forward, they did the same thing, starting with the dot-com bust. And back then, nobody knew what the hell was going on. And what happened is in 1995, they passed legislation, which is called PSLRA, Private Security Private Securities Litigation Reform Act. And it sounds real pretty on the surface. And they say they're protecting the little investor, which is a bunch of bullshit. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
Okay? What it actually did, it basically tore up federal RICO. And you can look this up. Robert Blakey. At one point in time, Robert Blakey was involved with attempting to expose what was going on.
And I'm sorry, who is Robert Blakey?
Robert Blakey wrote federal RICO.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay.
He wrote the RICO law. Okay. So and the person. So I don't know how much you know about what do they call them? House resolutions.
Yep.
Okay. You know they submit a House resolution and then they they debate about it. All that bull crap that goes on. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then they change it. And this guy adds this and that guy adds this. And I used to, I just had a computer failure. Mm-hmm. I have all this stuff in my laptop. Mm-hmm. Not like your problem. But I have to, my screen on my laptop went white.
Okay.
And it just, that's all you see is white. So I hooked it up to a monitor. And I got a device where I'm going to unload all my docs into this drive.
Okay.
It's a big drive.
Good idea.
All my stuff is in there. And I'm like a pack rat. I keep everything related to this. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at the amendments to PSLRA, we have our little friend Christopher Cox. And do you remember what his AKA was?
What was his AKA?
Cocksucker. Okay?
Yes.
He's the one that introduced this little piece to this PSLRA, which basically said, if you're a bank, if you're a wealthy investor, if you're a brokerage firm, a prime broker, whatever, rich people, okay, you are no longer subject to federal RICO. Okay? And the only people that are subject to federal RICO are the mobsters. Which, by the way, guess who was invested in the hedge funds?
Mobsters.
Organized crime.
So then wouldn't that also make them not eligible for RICO because they were part of hedge funds?
No, because how are you going to prove it?
Right.
How are you going to prove it?
Wow.
What a system.
Yeah. It's a vicious cycle there. So tell us how naked short selling directly affected you and your company.
Okay, well, first of all, you couldn't, because my stock was not marginable. It was in the pink sheets. Okay. I knew all the scum that's in Wall Street, with my years, and I spent 8 years developing my technology, which was a combination of hardware and software.
Okay.
And it was geared towards dealerships, car dealerships.
All right.
And I came up with the idea is because after I got blown out of Wall Street with all the shenanigans earlier, mm-hmm. Okay, and then a very ugly divorce, if you will, that went on for 10 years. Yeah. It's when it rains, it pours.
Right. So you reinvented yourself.
I was just, I to the best I could, my area of expertise, which was basically, I used to really like getting involved with smaller companies, whether they wanted to go public or they were public and they were all screwed up. So I would go in, restructure their deal, write their business plan, write their prospectus. I used to do a lot of different things because over the years, here we go. This is one of the biggest problems in Congress. I would, go to an attorney and ask him to write, let's just say it was an employment contract. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I would say ABC is what I want in the contract, and it would come back EFG. Okay. Mm-hmm. Totally wrong. Okay. Totally wrong. I'm very specific about what I ask for. Okay, so I got sick of dealing with crooked lawyers. Okay, the ones I can count on one finger an attorney that I have 100% respect for, and he's still practicing law. And I had a very unique relationship with him. And I actually just spoke to him not too long ago, recently, within a month. Anyway, so I used to, I was in a big shot. I was a little dude. You could make a lot of money taking small companies public.
Okay.
Raising the capital, helping them along, doing private placements. And a lot of times, as long as you disclose what you were doing, which is something else I learned years later, so you could actually go in and buy a private placement, right? Put your own money up.
Okay.
Let's just say it was $10,000, and it was private. You would buy a private placement. You would buy it cheap, okay, and then you would go forward and do maybe one or two more private placements. And as long as I disclose that, hey, I own stock in this company, and I bought a private at 10 cents, whatever it was. It's all about disclosure. Well, at least I thought it was. Okay. And then one day you would take it public, and you would, let's just say you paid 10 cents in a private. Okay. You brought your clients in, they had privates, then you took it public, and it went public at, let's say, $1.25. Well, that's a hefty profit.
That is a hefty profit. I see. I can see how that would be good. So you were helping people realize their dreams,
and helping myself.
Exactly.
And,
yeah, that's
perfectly
good.
Legal.
That's good stuff. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Okay, so then, so now you've got your own company, and you're working with this software or this software hardware combination with dealerships. And what happened to you?
I was actually in Puerto Rico on vacation. I hadn't taken a vacation in, a long time, but more than 14 years. And my stock was trading at around $5 a share.
Okay.
And what I did is I took it public through what they call a reverse merger. I took my private company. I acquired a public shell.
Okay.
Which was effectively a publicly traded company that no longer had a business.
Okay.
And it's done all the time.
Sure.
And even to this day, it's done. They call them today they're called shelf registrations. The SEC has effectively cracked down on it, going back many years ago. But there used to be a lot of, you could imagine how many companies, that went public and didn't make it for whatever reason.
Right, of course.
Okay, well that vehicle is still trading publicly.
So it's like a brand essentially, or like the shell of like everything that you need to have being public, and all you did was take your existing technology and merge it and your infrastructure and move them together. So then you've got everything.
Yeah. Usually what happens is, your entity becomes a wholly owned subsidiary of the public company, and then you change the name of the public company.
All right. Now, I keep seeing people say, ask him to name the hub. I don't understand what that question.
Hub?
Yeah, the hub.
The hub is DTCC.
DTCC. Okay.
DTCC.
And what is that?
That's where everything gets cleared through.
Okay.
Depository Trust Clearing Corporation.
Oh, okay.
Any of you people watch In the Matrix?
Yes.
When he discussed the trust, all the trust that exist with the Pacers?
Yes, I have heard of that before, yes.
Okay. I'm not 100% if Pacer is for real, which I think it is, then it makes a lot of sense that DTCC is a trust.
Okay. All right. Okay. So Depository Trust Clearing Corporation, audience, DTCC.
Yeah. Look up, if you can just go to deepcapture.com, and when you get to the main page, you'll see tabs, and one of the tabs is called The Movie.
Okay.
And it's Patrick Byrne does a Microsoft, what the hell is it called? It's a Microsoft presentation.
Okay.
Where he explains how they do this and how they create all this illegal activity through, and it's done in more than one way. Okay. And all of it's hidden. And like whoever that person was earlier said that you try to get your stock out of, let's just say you want to get delivery of your physical certificate for whatever reason, you ain't going to get it. They're not going to allow it, DTCC. At one point in time, DTCC was trying to eliminate all the public transfer agents for public companies because there was still a paper trail. See, when a public company has a transfer agent, like I said before, I started, funded, and ran for 10 years a transfer registrar and transfer company. Okay? Small companies, and it was very lucrative business. I mean, if you do it correctly, there's a lot of money to be made there. It's like ringing the register, cling, cling, and basically all you're doing is you're processing the physical certificate. Let's just say a certificate for 2,000 shares comes from Merrill Lynch through DTC, or it comes directly from Merrill. It can happen either way. And some person wants 100 shares of his stock transferred and shipped out to him. So one certificate comes in, 2 certificates go out, one for 900 shares and one for 100 shares. And that 100 shares is in the name of the person that wants physical delivery of their stock certificate.
All right.
Okay. So, and every public company has a transfer agent, and they usually they take care of the dividends. If a company has a dividend or a stock split, or they're having a shareholders meeting, you would generate the shareholders list, and you would keep track of the number of shareholders. That's basically what a transfer agent and registrar does. So, I mean, I know all sides of this whole thing.
Okay. All right. So back to what happened to you. You were on vacation in Puerto Rico, and you had your company after it had been merged.
I get it. Yep. My stock starts falling.
Okay.
Okay.
Any indication why the stock started falling?
I had no idea.
Okay.
Had no idea. I had friends of mine going in and buying 100,000 shares at a clip, and the stock would downtick. I was just scratching my head going, what is going on? I had no idea. This is in 2002 that they were doing what they were doing. And so I finally got home, and I think we were on our last day, got home, and this stockbroker, and they're all, you'd make a deal with someone, to do this, and this is all above board legal stuff. I never did anything illegal.
Okay.
So you would make deals, they would raise XYZ dollars, and you could pay them in cash, in stock. It's all about disclosure. Okay. And I get a phone call from this individual one day, and it was like a stage event, if you will, all hyped up. Oh my God! There's a guy in your stock. He has a hedge fund, and he is pissed off because your stock is going down, and I was about to be extorted. Okay, and the proposition is I was to give him 300,000 shares of my stock in a gift, okay? Or they were going to short my stock to zero. How would you like to hear that?
Wow. So
that's 1.5 million right there. 300,000 shares at 5.
Wow.
Or 4.5, or wherever the hell it was at the time. And of course, you can imagine I went apeshit ballistic.
Yeah.
Okay. And I actually made the broker give up. He had accumulated more than 150,000 shares of stock. I made him give up his 150, and I actually gave up 150 of mine. So I succumbed to their extortion. Okay. But I refused to gift the stock to him. And the reason I refused to gift it to him is because when you give stock to someone, if you held the stock for 2 years, when you do a gift, you take over that person's holding period, which means if they're not an inside person like I was, the second you did that gift, that stock became eligible for sale immediately. You didn't have to comply with Rule 144 any longer.
So,
And I refused to do it.
All right, okay, because I mean, once you give it to them, they have
then they
nothing
turn
that's
around and short more.
Yeah.
But see, I didn't know that. I had no idea. I had no idea that they could illegally short my stock, which they did in 6 months. 100 million market cap went to zero. And then in came the lawsuits and all the crazy shit that happens after it.
So basically, they took your company from successfully operating, profitable, and
No. I wasn't. I was a startup.
Okay.
I didn't have a golden or a silver spoon in my mouth.
No. But okay? I'm saying
I didn't have millions of dollars. No. I just want to make this very clear.
Okay.
My company was a startup. Okay. It was a developmental stage company.
But it wasn't it wasn't failing, is my point. You were still like in the process of bringing everything online.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We had acquired a software company.
Okay.
That was designed for dealerships. Okay.
And now, if anybody's ever worked with car dealerships, then you'll know that they have some very specific things that they have to do. And if you have a product that a dealership can use to make things easier, that is potentially extremely profitable and something that you could really, really get a foothold with.
Yeah, and dealerships are notoriously dysfunctional in everything they do.
Oh yeah, I had a client.
You walk into it. Anybody? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I had a client that he had a dealership, and it was like fly by the seat of your pants. Like every day you're robbing from Peter to pay Paul. Like every deal that comes through the door, you're paying off old stuff, you're pushing off new stuff, and it's very very dysfunctional. Yeah.
Yeah, and the general mentality, and this is how I came up with this idea, is after I got crushed, going back to 1993. That was a little crush compared to what happened in 2002. There was no comparison, but I went through a lot of crap. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised I'm still here, quite frankly. I actually I took whatever money I had left and I acquired a license for a software application. And I used to go from dealer to dealer, and you had to sell yourself. And basically what I was doing is I was generating the stickers that go on used cars. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever gone to a used car dealership. You'll notice it was almost like today they have looks like almost like a new car sticker, and it lists the year, make, model, whatever's in the car.
Yep.
And the price of the car, and that's what I was doing. A far cry from what I used to be doing. Mm-hmm. But there was nothing left. My expertise was small company corporate finance, and there was nothing left. That's how many companies they destroyed. So to give you a perspective of how much the entire marketplace shrunk? There used to be 4 over-the-counter marketplaces. There was the Pink Sheets, there was the bulletin board, then there was a small cap market, and then there was the national market, which is what Microsoft is on.
Okay.
4 separate exchanges, all coming under regulation by NASDAQ, which is what it used to be called. Okay. Including transfer agents were regulated by the SEC. I had to file reports with the SEC every year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And today there's only one hub, if you will. It's called FINRA.
Yeah.
So they merged them all together. Okay.
Yeah, because it didn't make
the last
sense
one
to have
get
all
merged. Yeah, well, there was no companies left.
Right.
On these smaller exchanges. Okay? And then they turned around and took FINRA public. Isn't that a who?
Man.
Okay? Yeah, it's just incredibly corrupt.
Wow.
And PSLRA was what made it extremely corrupt, because you could not sue. If you had evidence that XYZ hedge fund was doing bad things in your company, you could. There used to be a point in time where you could sue them, and then you could get discovery, additional discovery. That all got eliminated. You can't sue a hedge fund. Ever.
Yeah.
You can't sue DTCC. And many people have tried. And every one of those cases gets thrown out of court, federal court. Every case that was ever filed in federal court regarding a public company, and there were many, it gets thrown out of court.
You know, and people are constantly wondering why nothing ever changes. I don't think it's ever going to change as long as these people are still allowed to do these things. I've got a short description from Deep Capture on the screen. The crimes are the work of Wall Street hedge fund managers and brokers who engage in a common trading strategy known as short selling. Short sell is just simply a way of making money when the price of a stock goes down. So they were able to essentially make a ton of money by forcing the price of your stock down, putting you out of business, and
oh yeah, and by the way, there was a point in time where, because of the IRS rules and regulations,
mm-hmm.
if you shorted, like for example, when you buy a stock,
yeah,
okay, and it goes up, right, and now you sell it, right? Well, the brokerage firm will produce a 1099
mm-hmm.
on what you sold it for.
Yep.
Okay, now you have to produce the buy side to prove that you made a profit or you didn't make a profit, right?
Okay.
You get that? It's you're obligated. Okay. Well, with a short sale, you don't have to report. There's no 1099 involved. so you short it. You put the company out of freaking business.
Yeah.
You make $10 million and you don't pay a dime in tax.
That's ridiculous.
Not a dime.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is.
That's the law. Wow.
Now, I haven't really followed it since because I could care less. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sure. Yeah.
Because I'm never going to make any money. You know, I think now they've changed the rules,
mm-hmm.
but a little too late.
Yep.
So to speak.
Yep.
So all these hedge funds made gazillions of dollars. And by the way, they own everything.
Yeah. And now that
take a look.
Now that they've got all this money that they've made off of putting all these companies out of business, they've taken that money and they've used it to just perpetuate even more wealth. It's like
by buying private companies.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, like the one I just quit.
Yep.
Okay, making $12 an hour.
Yep. Now,
I don't have to do that anymore.
Somebody just asked, when this all happened with your company, what year was that?
2002.
2002. Okay.
Yeah, that's when the shit hit the fan.
Yeah. Now, have you
So,
have you ever thought about writing a book about all this?
oh, I would love to write a book about this. Oh my God, there would be so many chapters because each chapter could be a public company that was destroyed by this process.
That's a great
Okay.
idea.
By the way, there are hundreds and thousands of shareholders out there to this day, okay, that would love to see something done about this. And don't be surprised if this spreads. That you think your viewership right now is big?
Mm-hmm.
Unless YouTube cuts you off, of course.
Yeah. Certainly hope not.
I mean, we're talking millions of people out there that know what happened, to varying degrees. They may not know the intricacies of, how a naked short is done, but they know that what was being done was totally fraudulent and illegal. And they got away with it because our wonderful Congress was vested in hedge funds. There is no doubt in my mind. You have no idea how many people were screaming up, down, and sideways and filing complaints with the DOJ. I mean, I know hundreds of companies were doing the same thing I was doing and nothing. I mean, a friend of mine, I could give you a video you can watch. Like I said, I have to find it. It's a good friend which is how I found out what was going on. And he had a company down in Plantation, Florida. And it was a cell phone technology. By the way, he has a patent. Google, Facebook, Twitter, they all infringe on his patent. His technology. But he can't do shit about it.
Yeah. Now, somebody had a question. If you, like, during the course of your time on Wall Street, back when student loans were done by private banks, did you have anything to do with any of that stuff? Did you see any of that in your day-to-day work, or was that outside of your purview?
Student loans? I mean, student loans is 1/30th of the corruption that's gone on.
Right.
I mean, it's a nothing burger. Thank you, Hillary. I mean, the big fraud is how they wiped out everybody's pension, profit sharing, retirement account, and people don't even know what happened.
Yeah,
they just got told, oh well, the market goes up and the market goes down, which is absolutely not the case.
Yeah, back in 2008, when everything first happened, I knew someone who had retired from GM, and his pension was completely wiped out, and he had to start working again. Yeah.
I'll guarantee you, he doesn't know what happened.
No.
Guarantee you.
Nope, it was all just kind of written off.
Yep. So it's and anybody. Oh, well, I'll give you another little tidbit. There was a lawyer in Texas that I actually was about to retain. And his name was John O'Quinn. He's a Texas billionaire. He made huge scores. He was a litigator. Has never, at that time, never lost a litigation, ever. Okay? His biggest win was the breast implant cancer, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, I saw a movie about that.
That was John O'Quinn.
Okay, all right.
He's the one that won. He's the one that won the lawsuit and made billions. They called him the $5 billion man.
Wow. Yeah.
And he was taking on, I believe it was up to 25 public companies, one of which was my friend down in Plantation, Florida. Okay, who actually is a video of him speaking before Christopher Cox, a.k.a. you know what I said.
Right.
Okay? And he's basically saying to Christopher Cox, when are you going to do your job? And there's a video. You can watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could send it to you. You can play it.
Well,
one day.
Unfortunately, I can put it in a video tomorrow, but yeah, definitely send it over to me. We're actually almost out of time. Was there anything else that you wanted to tell us regarding, the corruption that takes place that's legal on Wall Street?
Well, it's legal because it should be illegal.
Right.
These people can murder, rob, and steal, as we know, and they go untouched. And then you get into, statute of limitations. I don't think Trump knows. I'd be shocked if he knows anything about this. That's just my opinion. I mean, he's got so much to clean up right now.
Yeah, he definitely
So
does.
he's got so much on his plate. It's just amazing what he's up against.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, I completely agree. I mean, that's one of the things I talk about quite often. A lot of people get frustrated. They don't see movement. They don't see the things happening that they want to see happening. But Washington, corruption in America, I mean, it's not just here. He's fighting corruption across the globe, and you've got to start. You've got to start someplace. And you can't just walk in and just say, we're going to stop doing all this bad stuff because everything will collapse. You have to have something to put into its place.
I agree.
Yep.
And for example, I'm looking at some of the comments here. People saying, can anybody tell me what they're talking about?
Go to deepcapture.com and you can
watch the movie.
Yeah, watch the movie. Watch the movie. Well, maybe we'll show it on the program later once I get my internet fixed. All right. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you for coming, but please continue. What were you going to say?
I had sent you the last thing I sent to you in your mail.
Mm-hmm.
There was a person, and I'm not getting into his name. He was so gung. He worked with Patrick Byrne at deepcapture.com. He used to write a lot of stories. This guy was like a bull in the china closet, very sophisticated, and just, uncovering just really one facet of this whole entire thing. And if you ever want to read a great book, you want to get an idea of just how nasty it is out there, there's a book called The Predator's Ball.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Okay. And it was about Drexel Burnham, going way back with the junk bonds. And then there's another great book called The Den of Thieves by James B. Stewart. And by the way, this is, like I said, these books only touch the surface of how much corruption there is.
It's endemic. It's throughout every layer of society, business, government. Think about it, guys. How long have they been in power? How long has this cabal been running the show? I mean, it goes far back far longer than America. Far longer back than the Queen of England. It's everywhere. It's been thousands of years. They've had all this time to figure out how to rig the entire system.
Yes. Oh, they've been doing it for over 100 years, maybe 300 years.
Yep. It's
horrible. It's really sad.
It is.
But what's really amazing is that we have actually, hopefully, survived it. Because I will tell you right now, their plan to destroy everything, it was planned. They thought they were going to bring us all down with the dot-com bust and then the crash of 2008.
Yep.
And it didn't happen the way they wanted it. They wanted us all poor. There's no question in my mind. So they could bring in their one world government.
Yep. That's right. That is right. All right. Well, listen, we are officially out of time, Wall Street and Anon. I want to thank you very much for joining me and coming on the show. So Yeah, I know you're anonymous, but do you have any plans? I mean, you should write a book. You really should write a book, and then you can come back on the show, and then we can talk about it. Do it.
You know how long that's going to take?
Well, get started. Get started.
You know, what? Oh, I mean, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, how do you know, you have to find a publisher, and you know, I couldn't. I'm a pretty damn good writer, but I would definitely have to have a lot of help.
I understand.
You
Well,
know, yeah, and it's not really my focus right now. My focus right now is building a war chest, which I'm working on.
put it together. We can talk about that too. All right. Well, thank you so much, WallStreet Anon. Thanks for coming on, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful evening.
All right, you too. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem. We'll talk to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. That was WallStreet Anon talking about naked short selling, and it's essentially a dishonest, corrupt way to make money in the market. There are so many different ways to make money in the market and destroy the companies of hardworking men and women, people that spend their entire lives putting together something so that they can leave something for their children. And in an instant, just like that, they can take it all away. Eminem. She says, "Good day, all. Apologies for not being online. My real life needed me, but I'm happy to be back with my Patriot family." We are happy to have you back, Eminem, and thank you and your husband for that very generous super chat. I do appreciate that. All right, we're gonna go. Ooh, my computer's almost dead. I got to plug this in. We're gonna go through a couple more stories. We finished up on the corrupt New York Times. We know the corrupt New York Times is on their last leg. I really hope that they do go out of business, or I hope that they are absorbed by another. Sharon Barasa says Trump watches Red Pill 78. I sure hope that Trump watches Red Pill 78. That would be really cool. I would love to get an interview with President Trump. So you guys remember the other day we were talking about the fact that President Trump was suggesting perhaps busing all illegals that come across the border into sanctuary cities or sanctuary states. California says that they love the idea of being a sanctuary state and allowing these illegals to come across the border. More illegals is good for California, apparently. National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd claimed on Sunday it is absolutely legal for the federal government to transport illegal immigrants to sanctuary cities. Judd argued during a Fox and Friends segment that President Donald Trump's proposed plan to do just that was brilliant and should have been cheered by people on both sides. It's absolutely legal, Judd explained. But I'm going to get beaten up by the hard left for this comment. But this is actually a brilliant move on the president's part. Judd went on to detail the two layers he saw at work in the proposal plan. If he's doing it for the humanitarian purposes, he should be praised, Judd began. These are cities that the city councils have consistently made a decision they're going to accept illegal aliens into their cities to protect them. But then Judd addressed the flip side, saying if he's doing it for political reasons, this is also brilliant. These people have to be released for one reason or another, and if we're going to have to release them, why not show the sanctuary cities the same pressure that other cities are feeling? Super chats I think super chats are working tonight. Right there, God's Guy, thank you very much for showing us that. Yep, super chats are working. Unless they went ahead and shut my stream down again mid-stream. Let me go ahead and take a look at my advanced settings. I certainly hope that's not the case again. We did nothing wrong in this stream. Simply talking about the way that Wall Street works. Yep, it should still be working, guys. From everything I see on my end, it should still be working. And God's Guy, I know that God's Guy wasn't here when we started, so he was able to give a super chat. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate that. So, from those two layers, this is a brilliant move. And I talked about this the other night. The fact that President Trump is going to do this, we have to bring them someplace. If Mexico is not going to keep them in Mexico, then we have to take them somewhere. And we can't put them in detention centers any longer because detention centers are all full. Jeff Stewart, thank you very much for that super chat. Super chat is functional. I appreciate that, guys. These sanctuary cities, they have set it up so that illegals are to be protected in these cities. So if they want illegals to come there, then we should go ahead and bring them there. I know that people are worried, people who live in sanctuary cities, they're worried about having these illegals there. And I realize that by bringing them there by the busload, it is going to put a strain on those cities. But for those two reasons, President Trump has to do something with them. And the sanctuary cities have already said that they want those sanctuary cities to be full of illegals. So it's going to put a strain on their system, and they're going to have to change their mind. They're going to be able to do something like that. 5x5, but won't let me log in on my end. Tanette, I don't know why. Billy Patterson, hello, Billy. Sophie's mom, thank you very much. Says, interesting chat. I appreciate that. And that's kind of funny, the way that you wrote it. It looks like the exclamation point is upside down on the left, but it's an I. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with WallStreet Anon. You know, I mean, one of the things that I want to do here is highlight corruption in its many forms, and I wanted to make the point that it's not as easy as untying a knot. You know, we've got corruption literally at every single level, every rung on the ladder, and it's going to take a long time for these things to get undone, to become fixed. You know, and even then, it may not happen during President Trump's entire 8 years in office. It may need to take a lot longer than that. So reports surfaced last week that the White House had proposed transporting detained illegal immigrants to sanctuary cities once the legal 20-day detention period had lapsed, but that Immigration and Customs Enforcement had rejected the plan over public relations concerns. Forget public relations, okay? We already have a public relations crisis on our hands. You guys, I see people asking. Jojo was sharing the link for one of my sponsors that I was not sponsoring this particular program. So I asked her to share that link instead of the other link. You know, Jojo, you don't have to keep sharing it specifically. I mean, you've shared it all during the broadcast, and I appreciate that. But yes, if there's anybody that you want me to super chat, then super chat. If there's anybody that you guys want me to interview, then please do send me an email. And you know, I want to stream on DLive, but I've had a couple of problems here recently, and it's something I'm working out with DLive directly. So following the public report reaction on those reports, particularly the response from Democrats who suddenly appeared to oppose an influx of illegal immigrants into these cities they touted as welcoming to all, Trump has doubled down on the idea, saying that his administration is now seriously considering this proposition. I think it's a great idea, personally, and my heart goes out to anyone who lives in a sanctuary city. Hopefully it's everything's going to be okay. Let me just add this into the show notes, guys. And the next story is actually from Cory Booker saying, no kidding, that he admits releasing illegal immigrants into sanctuary cities would make us less safe. Democrat Senator and presidential candidate Cory Booker told Face the Nation on Sunday that releasing tens of thousands of illegal aliens into sanctuary cities would make us less safe. But at the same time, Spartacus Booker and the Democrat Party think releasing them into the rest of the country is absolutely appropriate. These people are dangerous. Let's see if we can listen to Cory Booker. Hopefully, this is something I definitely want to see. Twitter. Yeah, you guys, I haven't talked about this yet, but I got a community guidelines strike the other day for my video that I did about an individual. I'm not going to name them because they reported my video as bullying. So I just want to say that I appreciate everybody keeping the chat clean and not making attacks on people that we can't back up. You know, we can say that we know Cory Booker was the former mayor of Newark and that crime increased exponentially while Cory Booker was the mayor of Newark. There are some other claims about Cory Booker that I don't think are safe to say just yet. I know that he has some alleged claims against him from people who suggested that perhaps Cory had made some handsy moves, I think I'll say. You know, it looks like maybe this is not going to work. Yeah, I'm having some issues with the internet still, guys. So Cory Booker essentially saying that releasing these illegals into sanctuary cities is dangerous. It's not good for the sanctuary cities. It's not. It is dangerous. It's definitely going to to put them at a disadvantage. It's not going to be good for them. But regardless of that, Goldman Sachs predicts that Trump will win the 2020 election. Look at that from the Drudge Report. So Yahoo Finance reported that President Donald Trump holds a narrow electoral advantage heading into 2020, according to Goldman Sachs, with his chances buoyed by a resilient U.S. economy and a crowded Democratic field in which a clear frontrunner has yet to emerge. So look at this, guys. Yes, Cory Booker is an absolute fool. Let's see. Tanette, I'm sorry. That's crazy. Can't super chat. I don't know why that's happening. Yes, if you're listening, POTUS Trump, call me. Now, when you say when Yahoo Finance says that President Trump holds a narrow electoral advantage, you know that means that he probably holds a very large electoral advantage, especially when there's nobody running against him that people are willing to vote for yet. Let's see. In a comprehensive report released late Saturday, the investment bank gave its preliminary thoughts on a general election that's still more than a year away. While Trump re-election is far from assured, Goldman's economists believe that president is buoyed or bolstered by the advantage of first-term incumbency and the relatively strong economic performance in what is sure to be a close call election. Drew Zanator, thank you very much for that super chat. I do appreciate that, my friend. Let's see. Going on to the next story. We've only got a few minutes left, guys. Thank you for sticking with me. I've got... Internet should be fully fixed tomorrow. So CNN and MSNBC are still not doing very well after the Mueller report came out. Now that now that the Mueller investigation has ended with a thud, viewers on the left are not tuning in to CNN and MSNBC every night to find out when Trump will be removed from office. It has hurt the ratings and the bottom line for both of the far left networks, and particularly Rachel Madcow. CNN and MSNBC's ratings still haven't recovered from the Mueller report. Madcow down by 17%. NBC and CNN's ratings have not recovered from a massive drop after special counsel Robert Mueller concluded his investigation into Russian collusion, or the lack thereof. CNN delivered its second lowest rated week of the year in total day and prime time between April 1st and April 7th, 1 and 7. It's very interesting how that's coming up again. According to Nielsen Media Research, while MSNBC had its second lowest rated week of the year in the key 25 to 54 age demographic. I'd say that these people are probably watching YouTube and not getting their information from fake news CNN any longer. Let's see. Here are some other related numbers which are pretty brutal. Blah, ha, 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 ha. So Cavuto versus Tapper, 1.3 million to 592,000. We've got The Five versus Wolf Blitzer, 2.5 million to 662,000. Brett Baer, 2.2 million to 588,000 for Blitzer. McCallum versus Burnett, 1.85 to 723. Carlson, 2.9 million to Anderson Cooper, 821,000. Hannity killing it against Cuomo, 3.29 million to 901 versus Chris Cuomo. Ingram Angle, always angling up, 2.764 million to T Hall, 549, and Bream. I don't know who Bream is, but they are not doing well. Fox News, on the other hand, is booming. Fox News Channel's primetime viewership beat CNN again during Thursday's Julian Castro town hall. Fox News Channel's primetime viewership numbers beat out the cable news competition once again on Thursday night. According to Nielsen Media Research's early numbers, FNC bested CNN numbers even during the network's own town hall event with 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Julian Castro. Averaging 2.7 million viewers and nearly 500,000 in the 25 to 54 age demographic, the Ingram Angle numbers more than quadrupled CNN's town hall in total viewers and almost tripled CNN in the 25 to 54 age category. CNN's town hall brought in 654,000 average viewers and 174,000 in the age range. CNN's latest town hall ranked third in both categories and was down 41% in total viewers and down nearly 50% in the key 25 to 54 age demo. Thursday night's special event for Castro also marked the second lowest rated weekday primetime town hall in cable news history. You have to wonder if the liberal media will ever recover from this. I predict they will not recover. I'm really hoping that we're going to see a little bit of downsizing among the media and that things are going to have to change. They are not going to be able to keep lying to us. As long as they keep lying, people are not going to continue watching. Now, we've got some information on additional attacks happening against the Ecuadorian government in the wake of the arrest of J.A. Over 30 websites belonging to the Ecuadorian government are now offline, some of them defaced, in protest of the arrest of WL founder J.A. The hackers are calling their efforts #OpEcuador and are also promoting OpUS and OpUK. The United States and the United Kingdom has not yet been hit with any cyber attacks that we know of. It's important to note that none of this was directed by WL or A himself. Supporters are acting on their own with the attacks. A data dump from the hackers warns that Ecuador government websites has been taken offline with one direct attack. There are few most important websites that's still down at this time. If some of their servers comes up again, we will fire again to take them down. The group has also leaked 728 identification ID card numbers that appear to belong to people who work in the Ecuadorian government. Yes, Ronnie Briggs says we tune... Oh, no, who said that? I will bring you 20 million. I will bring you 20 million. Like 20 million viewers? 20 million viewers? And then Janet said we tune into Red Pill 78. Thank you very much, guys. I'm glad you guys are here. Now, here is the defacement for that website, that Ecuadorian website, stating that they did it because of that arrest. Websites that have been hit include the Central Bank of Ecuador, their Ministry of Interior, the Ecuadorian Assembly in UK, and the main website for the government of Ecuador, most of which have been down for over 12 hours by Saturday evening. The hackers primarily appear to be speaking and coordinating in Spanish, though one of the data dumps was in Indonesian. A Twitter account belonging to the hackers stated that if the websites come back online, they will burn their servers. The hacking group also called for their supporters to join them. An InfoSec expert and a supporter who has been monitoring the situation told the Gateway Pundit that he is concerned that the attacks will be used against A by the media. God's Guy says, sorry I'm late, bro. Computer problems, late on my uploads. I understand, Guy. Thank you so much for that super chat, buddy. I do appreciate that. Glad you're here. Whether or not you got here at the start, I am glad you are here, buddy. Let's see. Other supporters expressed similar concerns, though many still agreed that the attacks are warranted. The cyber attack is reminiscent of 2010's Operation Avenge A, which was launched by the broader Operation Payback effort. The movement led to hacktivists hitting companies such as PayPal, Post Finance, MasterCard, Visa, and others who had blocked services to WL with a distributed denial of service attack. This is when a website is flooded with fake traffic until it crashes and goes offline. It was estimated that roughly 10,000 people participated in the DDoS attack, but 14 protesters were raided and indicted. Anonymous hackers had also threatened to disrupt British government websites if A were extradited to Sweden for a flimsy SEX assault investigation that was later dropped. I was looking for additional information about this individual today, but I didn't see anything. I know I saw a lot of people saying that there were some drops. I didn't see any of that stuff. What about Ukrainian involvement? In Ukrainian involvement in what? What are we looking for? Ukrainian involvement in the JA situation, or the Ukrainian involvement in the marketplace? Yeah, sorry you guys. The dogs were barking at each other. They're ready to go on to W. They know that we're doing it right after the stream. Okay, so did you guys see that Valerie Jarrett wrote a book? She wrote a book, and it's ranked number 1,030 on Amazon, but it made the New York Times bestseller list. How did they do that? Hey, you guys, what are you doing? Just give me a few minutes, okay? Valerie Jarrett, a top advisor to former President Hussein, published a book that ranks dismally on Amazon and at Barnes & Noble, but was placed on the New York Times bestseller list. Anomalies around the book's sales figures and industry databases have some in the book business questioning whether Jarrett, who is rumored to have received $1 million plus advance, paid a company to game the numbers. Her book, which was published April 2nd, is number 1,030 on Amazon's list of top sellers and has only 3 reviews on the site. It similarly ranks number 1,244 on Barnes & Noble, where signed copies are being sold for less than the suggested retail for unsigned copies. Yet the book was also number 14 on the New York Times bestseller list. Tell me how that is even possible. That means that to me that they are gaming the numbers, you guys. This is incorrect. Given the organic sales of the book and the fact that during the entire weekend of rollout, it barely cracked the top 100 on Amazon, there's no way the book should have had a place on the New York Times bestseller list. Inconceivable. Inconceivable, one prominent book industry insider speaking on condition of anonymity told the Daily Caller News Foundation. There's likely an effort to game the system. It's the only explanation. Jarrett's book outsold all but the top 4 books on the New York Times list, according to BookScan, which tracks sales and figures. But instead of putting it at number 5, the Times placed it lower, including behind one book billed as a behind-the-scenes look at the daytime show The View, which is 7th. It should have been number 5, except they excluded a big chunk of her sales for being sketchy. They've declared shenanigans, one longtime book editor told the DCNF on condition of anonymity. According to BookScan data, Jarrett's book, Finding My Voice, My Journey to the West Wing and the Path Forward, sold 12,600 copies in its first week, more than twice as many as the book ranked immediately above it on the New York Times list. The books in New York Times' 5th through 13th slots sold between 4,300 and 9,000 copies. New York Times creates its own estimate of book sales from sampling bookstores and also adjusts placements higher or lower for various reasons. New York Times did not return a request for comment. Even more baffling to Book World insiders, the publisher's weekly bestseller list, which is based on BookScan data, omitted Jarrett's book list from their top 25 titles, even though it seemingly should have been 7th. This is the first time I've seen a book that doesn't show up on the PW list, but when you drill into BookScan, you see it had sales that should have been there. President of the conservative book publisher Regenery, Margie Ross, said. The book editor that requested anonymity told the DCNF, "We all know that when BookScan excludes a book that it's been left off because of something sketchy, a bunch of bulk sales or an unusual geographic spread." NPD, the company that compiles the BookScan data, did not respond to a request for comment, nor did Publishers Weekly. So this is obviously Valerie Jarrett, her publishing company, trying to game the system. This is all rigged. We know it's rigged. That's crazy. It's not true. You know, I mean, they put this together. They attempt to make it look like it's doing better than it does, and it's not doing that. Okay, so you guys, I think that's all I'm going to go for tonight. The dogs definitely want to go for a walk, so I'm going to take them on a walk. Let's see. Yeah, David Levine notes that the book that I was involved with did far better than that, and they did everything they could to bury it. But unfortunately, they were unable to do that. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. This has been a special presentation of Sunday Night Livestream. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the new files that have been dropped on the WL website. Paul mentioned it in the super chat, or not the super chat, just the regular chat there. We're going to go ahead and dig into that sometime this week. Geezerman says, wait, I just tuned in. Buddy, just rewind the video and you should be able to watch everything that we've been checking out for the last almost 2 hours now. Paul Marshall, thank you for that super chat, buddy. I appreciate that. I hope that everyone has a wonderful week. Please do join me tomorrow for my regularly scheduled program. I'll be making a produced video tomorrow. Hopefully there's going to be some good news out there. We'll put that together, and you guys will be able to see that. Mueller and Clinton involved with Ukraine. Yes, Tanette Booth, Mueller and Clinton were definitely involved with Ukraine. I think that's something we're going to see coming out very soon. Let's see. Any other questions you guys want to ask before I take off and take the dogs for a walk? Yes, I do see about 1,600 people watching. Yeah, I should mention this to you guys. Thank you to everyone who has supported me, everyone who's been here watching. If you have not yet, please, think about giving a like to this video. It will let YouTube know that other people are enjoying watching it. Carl Nyman says, keep up the fantastic work you're doing. I want to thank you very much for that. Slipster's Videos just shared my email in there. Dana says, we're We Bark One, We Bark All. Eminem says, have an awesome week. Definitely. I see lots of people saying hi. transcripts. I have not seen those transcripts, but I will go ahead and look for that. Ask Me Anything. Thank you very much. All right, everyone. I think that's it for me tonight. I need to get some water. Very, very thirsty after all that talking. Okay, you have a song. Cisco Lady Liberty. Yep, send that over on Twitter. All right, everyone. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.